A complete dud by the Boston Celtics. You know, the Celtics and the Packers, I have respect for them. They're talented. They're successful. They tend to be disciplined franchises. But the Celtics have one title in, 35 years, 36 years, and the Packers have 2 Super Bowls since 1968. They have been rewarded, each of them, when they've taken a big swing. Reggie White, Charles Woodson for the Packers, or KG for the Celtics. But I also feel like it's not in their nature. They're a little uncomfortable. You know, Boston's all about history and tradition, looking in the rear view mirror, celebrating their past. And the Packers, it's that Midwestern ethos. We work hard and wear Dockers. If the Celtics lose this series, can you take a big swing? I mean, hell, the Warriors did after winning a title. They moved off Harrison Barnes and went and got KD, and maybe that's a Silicon Valley aggressive thing. But I mean, Jason Tatum's just not an alpha. He's great, not an alpha. Jaylen Brown's got a 1 mentality and a 2 game. Marcus Smart's limited in aging. Robert Williams, cross your fingers on his health. Al Horford's old. Again, maybe it's a Silicon Valley thing. They won a title. I remember people years ago telling me Tiger Woods moved off his clubs when he was number 1 in the world. Move when you're in strength, not weakness. Then you look desperation and have no leverage. But I've seen this Celtics team now, this group, for 5 and 6 years. It's just variations of good. With Shaq and Kobe, or MJ or Pippen, or Steph and Clay, Bird and McHale, there's defined roles and everybody understands it. I don't think Tatum and Jaylen Brown know their roles. Tatum's more talented. Jaylen Brown wants the ball more. I don't think there's clarity here, and I think you got to create it. I think you got to take a big swing. Now, the Celtics are still favored to win the title. Even if they won the title, would it be because they're great? No, it's because Milwaukee folded. The East is weaker. The Knicks can't score. Either can Miami, although Jimmy Butler's amazing. Golden State's in a transition period. I mean, even if you won, you beat Denver. It's a weird, wonky year. Take a big swing. Tatum's their best player, yet he had a minus 26 plus minus last night. That was the worst of anybody. And you know what it's starting to remind me of? The Oklahoma City team with KD and Westbrook. So whenever a team's really, really good for an extended period, but they don't win a title, who takes the heat? The Stars. Remember Mr. Unreliable in the newspaper and OKC, KD, Westbrook. We heard for years they get along, they hang out, there's nothing to do there, they hang out. And then after getting the heat year after year, because nobody blames the role players when you're good for years. Nobody's blaming Derek White. Nobody's blaming guys off the bench, Malcolm Brogdon. They're blaming Tatum, and they're blaming Brown. And so what happened to that OKC team? They didn't really take a big swing. They're like KD and Westbrook. But you start adding up those really good years without a title, and the Stars start getting heat, and there's a lot more tension behind the scenes that nobody knows about. Jaylen Brown and Tatum, you are seeing signs of the tension. Post-game comments. You saw them yelling at each other. Celtic players are yelling at each other in a huddle last night. It's got an OKC feel to it, KD Westbrook. Oh, everybody gets along great. Everybody's winning. They get to the finals. But when you don't win the ring, when you don't get the trophy, the heat is always on the Stars. And it's often on the best player. It wasn't on Westbrook as much as KD. KD said, get me the hell out of here. And then he went and won titles. Jaylen Brown gets a little heat, but it's on Tatum. And you can't get rid of Tatum because he plays on both ends of the floor. He plays a lot of games. He's a good kid. You got to take a swing. Even if you win, take a swing. You don't want to be OKC. But last night's a dud. I don't think this team's 2 stars really understand, have absolute clarity on what they are. And that's the difference between a very good team, OKC, KD, and Westbrook, and a great team, the Splash Brothers. Bird, McHale, Kobe, Shaq may have fought the whole time. They knew what they were. One was the great closer from the perimeter, the next Jordan, and one was the unstoppable interior force. Here's Marcus Smart after the game.
It's a true dogfight. Scratching, clawing, biting, blood, everything. And if you're not willing to pretty much get dirty, if you're not willing to bleed, if you're not willing to break something, if you're not willing to tear something, going hard. then you shouldn't be on that court because that's what it is. That's what the playoffs about. Hopefully you stay safe, but that's the mentality you got to go. You got to be able to risk it all for these games, and that's the mentality we got to have.
I think the Sixers are a much more flawed team, but they have unbelievable self-belief. They really think they're great. They're not, but they think they are. That's much easier to embrace than being really good but doubting yourself. I don't think the Celtics really know who they are right now, and I've seen this thing for 5 years with a couple different coaches. All right, so Jordan Poole, there's a headline today, I'm reading this. Jordan Poole's been a disaster in the playoffs. It's costing the Warriors. Warriors trail 3-1. If you trail 3-1 in the series, almost never does a team come back and win it. So my guess is we go to a Game 6. I'm going to watch tonight. I do think if AD and LeBron struggle early, get them off the floor, get blown out by 40, who gives a rip? Then you'll have 2 games to win 1. But it is interesting because Jordan Poole is very talented. I just wonder about the fit. So the Patriots, because of their sort of efficient, rigid, disciplined, structured style, were just not a great fit for Ocho Cinco. And they were only a good fit for Randy Moss for about 2.5 years, 3 years until he wore people out. Doesn't mean Ocho Cinco and Randy Moss aren't great. The Warriors system demands a lot. It's demanding, it's structured, it's smart, it's intuitive. Loose guys like D'Angelo Russell, they couldn't get him out of there fast enough. Jordan Poole driving everybody crazy. I said when the Draymond Jordan Poole punch came out, that video, they weren't mad at Draymond, they were mad at got out. Poole was driving everybody crazy. You've heard the bites all year. The Warriors have always, like the Patriots, been willing to take people with lower ceilings. Dante DiVincenzo, Looney can only rebound. Gary Payton II's defense. They're fine with that if you're a specialist, if you're structured, if you deliver on what they demand. They're not always highest ceiling guy. And I think that's Poole's problem. If you look at Jordan Poole's numbers, and these are kind of fascinating, Jordan Poole with Curry playing averages 16 a game. Without Curry, he averages 26. Jordan Poole needs to be the man, not the guy subbing in for the man. He doesn't fit, but he would start and be a 25-point-a-game player for 90% of this league, like the Celtics. He would create clarity, never be afraid to take a shot. Doesn't play a lick of defense. Who cares? Robert Williams does, Tatum does, and Marcus Smart does. You have a defender in the backcourt, wing, center. You don't need another good defender. Celtics got all these great defenders. Where's the ring? What you need's an alpha. And Jordan Poole will take a shot from the parking lot. He doesn't work here. It is a highly structured system, and he's an unstructured, at times, player. And loose, unstructured players struggle with the Patriots. They can struggle with the Warriors. He's like a wild public school kid trying to fit into a prep school. It just doesn't work. He is valuable, I think, around the league much more than he is here. I mean, Draymond Green, on his podcast, talks about the players that are really important as this series draws to a conclusion.
Clay will play better. I have no doubt in my mind I'll play better. Steph had an incredible game. Expect more of the same or even more from him. And everybody else will play great. Moses Moody's been giving us great minutes. Dante gave us some good minutes last night. GP gave great minutes. Loon, when Loon's in there, he's giving great minutes. Wiggs was aggressive. Listen, I'm living with it. And we just didn't make the plays we needed to make down the stretch to win the game.
I think he mentioned everybody but the ball boy. He did not mention Jordan Poole. Again, fit matters. D'Angelo Russell with the Warriors, really good player. Too squirrely. Jordan Poole with the Warriors, he averages 26 a game when Steph Curry doesn't play. And Steph Curry's going nowhere. The dynasty is going to have to reboot because statistically you're down 3-1, you don't win the series. I think it's time for the Celtics to take a big swing. I think they'll be reluctant. The Warriors have done it before after a title and trying to get another one. I think they're ready to make that move.